everybody, I'm Roxy, this is Rock Me BS, and today I bring you my Women in Translation Month wrap-up. In case you missed it, I did film a TBR for this challenge, and I will link it down below. However, you might not need to check it out, because I got to every single one of those books. Yeah, I can't believe it either. I finally stuck to a TBR. There was a DNF, and I'll get to that in a second, but I'm pretty damn proud of myself. In case you're not familiar with Women in Translation Month, it takes place in August, and it's a month-long reading initiative encouraging people to pick up women in translation and sort of make it a habit. So it's this 1 month, but the idea is that you incorporate reading women in translation in your overall reading life. Also, there is a reading in translation at the end of the month, so that last week of August, and I will leave the hosts' announcements and wrap-up videos if they've already uploaded them down below, so you check them out because they are amazing and recommend amazing books. Okay, let's get on with the books. I'm just so excited. I can't believe it. First, let's talk about the DNF, Gentleman Jack, a biography of Anne Lister by Angela Steidele. This is translated from the German by Katy, Derbyshire. At least at the time I DNF'd this book, I didn't think there was anything specifically wrong with it. It's just that I wasn't enjoying it. This is a non-fiction book. It's a biography of Anne Lister, who was a lesbian woman in the late 1700s in England who I didn't get to the part where she actually became Gentleman Jack, but at one point she was known that way, and she was very open about her sexuality, not in an identitarian way, of course, but she never married, and she had all these female friends who were, most of them, if not all of them, her lover, and she was also very committed to climb socially. So yeah, she had a very interesting life, and there is an HBO, I want to say, miniseries that I do want to watch. Supposedly that is based on the other Anne Lister biography, also titled Gentleman Jack, which was originally published in English. I will put that down below as well. In case you haven't noticed, I always list the books I mentioned down below after all the info for your convenience. Why didn't I like this? It's just very dry. It's organized by Anne's lovers, and it's kind of just a narrative of her life, which I know sounds like the point of the biography, but the biographies I personally love are biographies that, yes, delve into the psychology of their subjects, and yes, are about the life of their subject, but also provide wider context and wider observations. For example, I have no idea. I read like more than 100 pages. No, I didn't. That's a lie. I read about 70 pages of this, and still I didn't know exactly what Anne's position in her society and her community was, because she had a really complex economic situation, and that influenced her friendships a lot, and that wasn't delved into. This reads like a story of different affairs, and what I will say it has going for it is that it has a lot of primary sources, and I thought that was an actual plus. But then I started reading reviews, and some people that are really into Anne Lister and have studied her a lot mentioned that this book doesn't really do her justice because it's solely focused on her toxic relationship with other women. But there were so many things that even this review mentioned about her life that weren't approached here at all. And again, I didn't read it all, but that review made the point that the approach itself was really misguided, as if the only aspects to Anne Lister's personality were her lovers, and that apparently that was not the case. Now, I can't vouch for that. I'll believe the person who said that. I still don't think this is terrible. It's just that I have so many books that I want to get to, and I really wasn't enjoying it. I sensed that if I kept it on my pile, it was going to put me in a reading slump, and I don't want that. I might return to it, but I also own the other Gentleman Jack, so I might give that a try. It was kind of a disappointment. The rest of the books, however, weren't a disappointment. So let's begin with A Nail, a Rose by Madeleine Bourdouxhe, and this was translated by Faith Evans, who also provided an introduction. I think Faith Evans has translated all there is to translate by Madeleine. I really love this. So this is my second Bourdouxhe. My first one was La Femme de Gilles, which I really, really loved. I didn't love this as much. This is a collection of short stories. I think that the novella form suits her best because a lot of these felt like too long short stories, while at the same time felt underdeveloped, so you get the feeling that it would have made more sense as a novella. It does include a novella, the last one, which is titled Sous le pont Mirabeau. It's in French, the title, they didn't translate it. I'm sorry. My favorite story, however, was Louise. I loved the translator's choice of titling a lot of the stories with their protagonists' names. It made for a beautiful effect. So I think out of 4 or 5 stories with the character's name, 2 were originally called that and the others were translators' choices, but it was a really stunning choice because all of these stories are about women who are either lonely or confused or very lost, and it's a very stagnant collection in a way, but that's what makes it poignant. Again, I don't think it's my favorite. I much prefer La Femme de Gilles, but if you've read that, and I do want to get to her other novel, Marie, I mean, this won't be a disappointment. I think it's beautifully written, but I think what's most striking is this unapologetic portrait of female disappointment and female frustration. So yeah, I really admire Madeleine Bourdouxhe. She's amazing. Next book is Miss Ice Sandwich. I don't know why I keep saying Miss Ice Cream Sandwich. It's not an ice cream sandwich. It's an ice sandwich. There are sandwiches here. Never mind. By Mieko Kawakami, and this was translated by Louise Hill Kawai. I really liked it. This is about a young kid who has a crush on Miss Ice Sandwich, and she's kind of an outcast. Like, a lot of people think she's kind of old and ugly to get married, which is terrible, but again, it's kind of the point, and this boy is the only one who really appreciates her. At the same time, you get a glimpse into how lonely this boy is and how bad things are at his home, and at the same time you see his friendship with his classmate, who is a really pushy, really unique little girl who's awesome. It's just very nice, very slice of life. It's kind of bittersweet in that very quiet way that after all it is sweet, but it has this glimpse of darkness. I guess that's what makes it so optimistic. You see characters going about their day and you see their hardships, but those aren't the main focus. The focus are the relationships, and the boy has a really unique point of view. It's all narrated in his voice. It's delightful, but it's also quite incisive in certain aspects without dwelling too much into it. Another not as successful, but still really enjoyable novel. This is The Ball. This is an edition in Spanish by Irene Nemirovsky. My edition is translated by Gema Bartolomé, but I will include the translator of one of the English editions, so you can check that out as well. In the back cover, it says that this was what propelled her to fame. It's about this teenager who hates her mom. Her mom is overtly critical. It's a very modern tale in that way, I guess, because the ideas of teenagerdom emerged last century, so it makes sense that they were being explored in the 1930s. It's also largely not autobiographical per se, but very rooted in the author's emotions. You can tell that completely. And her parents are like new rich people, and they're going to give a ball to kind of introduce the family to society, and the girl is not invited. She really wants to go, so in retaliation she does something terrible. It was good, it's just that it's very juvenile. It's very like, oh, my parents hate me and like I hate everyone. I get where it comes from, and I think it's well written. I want to pick up more by this author. It's still very fun. It's really intense. It's kind of like, oh, kind of situation. So just check it out if you're interested. Let's move on to The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. This is translated from the Japanese, of course, by Snyder. This was my first Ogawa book. I had read only a short story by her. I was really in the mood for this when it came. I think it's not the striking masterpiece that everyone says, or a lot of people claim it is, but it is really good. So this is about a housekeeper who's worked as a housekeeper for a long time, and she's sent to this gentleman who supposedly is very difficult. And what is up with him basically is that his memory only lasts 80 minutes, but he's also kind of difficult because he's a mathematician, and so he has a really unique way of looking at the world and working, and he's kind of this mad scientist. He also might be on the spectrum, you know, it's not one of the issues, but it's something that's constantly brought up, although it would be totally fine if he were. I am very curious because I notice is kind of an observation that keeps popping up when it comes to Japanese books in particular. I wonder how much of that is just our failure to understand the feeling of alienation and the hard time people who don't adhere to very strict social rules have, specifically in a Japanese context. Now, I'm not saying that is the case, and he might as well be on the spectrum, and I'm also not saying that in Japan there aren't people on the spectrum. I'm just saying that it's a common observation of characters in slice of life Japanese literature in particular that deals with alienation and human connection. So I thought that was interesting. Another point that makes it very complicated is this man's, I always forget, she's the widow of his brother, I think. So I guess his sister-in-law, who for some reason that we never really find out is his main caregiver, but they don't seem to be very connected. They live in separate houses within the same property. Eventually, the housekeeper and the professor strike a really beautiful friendship. He really takes to her child. She is a single mother, and that is really where this book became so interesting to me. I've never read a single mother depiction in Japanese fiction. Granted, I'm not an expert, there might be tons, but I'd never come across one. And I just thought it was so interesting because the woman is very practical, and she grew up as a daughter of a single mother as well. It was really interesting how that played out. But also just, yeah, the relationship between the professor who is obsessed with math and how he can't help but relate everything to the beauty of numbers. I think that's beautiful because for me, numbers are actually something very abstract, something that I've always had trouble grasping. And so I'm always kind of in awe when people talk about it in that way, or when people use them almost as poetry. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I understand why a lot of people might not like it. It feels like it doesn't have a lot of resolution, and it feels like it doesn't leave you anywhere. I think a lot of people thought they would be like completely blown away, or that the book was trying to completely blow them away with math and baseball and human connection. And I don't think that's what this book is, honestly. I think it's just a very beautiful slice of life book where the math and baseball elements are really, really well employed. 2 more to go. I feel like I've talked a lot about each book. I hope you are enjoying these wrap-ups in spite of my chattering away. I have a reread. This is Strange Weather in Tokyo by Hiromi Kawakami. This was translated by Allison, Markin, Powell. Here's the thing. I read this for the first time a couple of years ago. I liked it. I thought it was fine. In case you don't know, this is about a middle-aged woman. I think because of this cover, you tend to think she's younger, but she's actually almost in her 40s. Her life is very static. And I don't know what is with me picking up all these books where people are very stagnant in their lives, but it has to do with... But in any case, she reunites with her high school, I want to say sensei, who was her Japanese sensei in so literature and language. They start a friendship that eventually becomes a strange relationship and a proper relationship, but it's very slow going, and it's not really about their romance, it's just about their connection, because of course he's much, much older than her. He's a widower. They didn't especially like each other or had a very special relationship while she was in high school. Like, she wasn't very good at Japanese, and we don't know what she does now, but she's not mentioning her job all the time, so she's not like a very career driven person. What bonds them together is that they go out to drink together, and they drink a lot. And the first time that I read it, as I said, I thought it was fine, I liked it, but this time I absolutely adored it. I think I read it with the right mood, definitely, but I was also able to pick up on so many subtle hints that I knew were there, like I sensed were there. I actually did comment on that in my original review, but for some reason now I could feel like I was peeling back all these layers. I especially liked the idea of how independent Tsukiko, the main character, is. And on the downside, she's not very close to her family, right? Even though they live quite close. And she mentions when she was younger she wanted to escape, but that doesn't really pan out, and she ended up moving back to her same neighborhood. So it's that idea of her life doesn't really turn out how she wanted, but she also doesn't really know what she wants in life until she reunites with Sensei. She knows he wants him by the way that she notices his absence. There is a really issue of separation, which can be seen as a bit distant, but this time at least I read it as each keeping their own personalities and having this romance that is very intense and very kindred soul like. I want to reread it again because I think this might have become a new favorite book, which I totally didn't expect. I should have finished with that one because although I did love this one, it's going to break my heart. Human Acts by Kang. This is translated by Deborah Smith. This was fantastic, but it hit way too close to home. Yeah, okay, so this is about an uprising that occurred in the 80s. I had no idea, but in South Korea they were experiencing a dictatorship, and I definitely need to learn more about this period. There was a very violent and bloody uprising. It occurred in the whole country, but one of the main characteristics is that it not only occurred in Seoul, but actually was very regional as well. And so this one actually focuses on that, on the Gwangju event, where a lot of people were massacred, but it focuses on the figure of this one boy, Dongho, who was murdered by the military, and then travels forward in time, always forward from different voices. So the boy is one, then there is the prisoner, the writer, the boy's friend, the mother, the factory girl, which is so terrible. But even within those voices, there are different voices. So for example, the factory girl is remembering conversations, and the prisoner is remembering talks he has with this academic who is trying to gather testimonials because they are writing their thesis on the uprisings or the, I think, like psychological effects. It's a very visceral book, focuses on the sequels and the trauma. And I read the introduction by Deborah Smith after reading the book, and it was really great at elucidating what Kang is doing. I did think that the second person narrative at some times didn't work so much. Hi, it's Roxy from the future. I just forgot to say something that I think is actually really important about the translation. I do think it's a great job overall, but there are things that just couldn't be translated. When I made a point about how the second person sometimes doesn't work, I think it does have to do with translations issues, but not something that can be fixed, just languages working differently. And also the boy's mother, according to the translator, was written in Gwangju dialect, but of course you can't translate that without choosing one dialect in particular, and that would have a whole set of cultural charge. And Deborah Smith actually does clarify what she was doing with the translation in that section. I thought it was worth mentioning, not as a good or bad point. I do think the translation is really good. It's really effective, clearly. And it was one of the most important things that I wanted to mention, and I completely forgot. So here I am, back to the past. I remember one of my thoughts when I first started reading it is that I didn't think it would be as experimental as it was, and then I started thinking back to the other two books I read by her, and she always does interesting things with narration in a way that serves her story and her point. It will resonate with a lot of people. I think it's a good book even if it doesn't resonate with your current situation. But because of where we are at in so many places in the world, I think this is especially relevant right now. And it's a weird coincidence that this is the weekend that I am talking about this book, because we are also remembering all the victims of our dictatorship. It hits close to home once again. The introduction also mentions how this was written in 2013 or 2014 because the daughter of one of the dictator figures in South Korea was elected as president. And that itself brings back issues of memory, right, of collective memory and trauma. It's really relatable to the current situation here in Chile and how certain people who were active collaborators of the dictatorship are still in politics. It's a very hard book to read, but it's beautiful and I do want to reread it. And I think everyone should read it. See, I should have finished this video with Strange Weather in Tokyo. I felt so happy after talking about this book, and now I'm not unhappy, but I'm kind of like, yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe and comment. Have you read any of these books? Are you planning to read any of these books after hearing me talk about them? Did you participate in Women in Translation Month? And if so, what did you read? And that's it. See you next time.